race. I watched a lot of football. I watched a lot of basketball. My Mavs are making me nervous, but they're doing all right. But as I was watching these shows, it's my favorite thing to do on the break. I started thinking about all these different characters, some of the reality TV. How many of us watch Love is Blind and are like, I would never do that. These people are terrible. And then you watch some shows, you're like, wow, look at the Dunphy family and Modern Family. Who doesn't want that? And you start to think about, what would I want for my family, or what family do I wish I was a part of? And these were the ones I saw on my TV a lot over the past week. The first one is, if you are a football fan and Manning fan, watch ESPN. Maybe you watch it through the Manning brothers. Would you want to be in this family? Would you want to be in this? See, I would be nervous about the pressure of being in this family. Okay, those of you who don't care about sports, what about this family who I kept up with over the break? Yeah! Okay. But in all honesty, maybe you're a hater. But how epic would it be to be at one of their birthday parties or Christmas parties, or have them throw a party for you? Because no one puts together a party like Kris Jenner, okay? So this is a family I would consider. This is one I would consider. I had another one. They weren't actually in the show, but the show is about them. The royal family. I'm guessing most of you don't watch The Crown. Do any leaders watch The Crown? William, you watch The Crown? That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Oh, okay. Is that Jordan? Jordan watches The Crown. All right, that's a show that's based on the royal family. Would any of you want to be one of the royals? Live in a palace, have a cool name, See, I also wonder, again, this family, this is an old photo. I don't even think they could get this family to sit for this photo because they're all fighting. Maybe you know that. Maybe you don't. So I watch a lot of E! News, okay? What can I say? I love the gossip. I love looking at these and wondering, what would it be like if I was related to those people, or if I knew those people? And I think we do this a lot around the holidays, just with families in general. Sometimes you see people who, they go on vacation every Thanksgiving, or they're those people who, are one of y'all, does anyone here have one of those families that has, a Christmas, Olympics or Christmas game tradition? Those families always look so the Bassos do? See, I look at that though, and I'm just like, man, I wish my family did that. That sounds so sweet. That sounds so cool. My family's favorite tradition that I don't know that anyone's jealous of, you might be, is we're haters, okay? We're haters in my family. So we drive around to look at Christmas lights to decide who do we think has the ugliest Christmas lights of that season. So I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I shouldn't have admitted that. I did not do that in my run-through for this sermon, but there's a little bit about what we do. My point is, we quickly compare our families. We see how some people interact. We see what other people have. We see how certain people's parents talk to one another. You see how some people are really close with their siblings. Maybe you see how some families are really rich and really wealthy. Maybe you see how some families just get along so well. Maybe you see how some families seem to just get each other. And maybe you are okay with your family, but you look at the other ones and you think to yourself, I wish I had that. Because the grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? If my family could just do vacations like they do, if my family had the money that they do, if my parents could just stop fighting and talk to each other like their parents do, if my parents would have made these decisions or that decision, why can't we be like them? And let me tell you, your leaders will agree with me, this doesn't go away when you get older. Okay, this is the kids' table. So you are sitting at this place in your life right now. Who here literally sat at the kids' table at Thanksgiving? I'm being honest. Yeah. It's tough out there. In your life, you're at this table. You don't really get to come over here and make the decisions about your family, do you? You don't get to choose where y'all live. You don't get to tell your parents how they should fight or how they should communicate. You don't get to tell that one cousin who you think is just ruining their life what you think they should actually do. You don't get to make these decisions yet at this season in your life. You're over here. But one day you will. You'll choose a partner. You'll choose where you live. You might even have a chosen family of friends that is really who you want to spend holidays with. And that comparison isn't just going to go away. Your leaders will agree with me when I say, as someone in their late 20s now, there are always people comparing. I wish my husband treated me like them. I wish my wife was like his wife. I wish our wedding looked like their wedding. I wish we got a promotion like they did. You so quickly can lean into this struggle of always comparing and looking at your family and suddenly feeling like they are never enough. Now, not all of you have happy families. I know that. And in a lot of ways, I get that. Longing for more, that's not wrong. If you go to your friend's house and you see how in love their parents are and you think, I want that one day, that's not bad. I'm not saying that's bad. But if you go to your friend's house and you see this, you're like, I can't believe my parents aren't like them. Like, my friend doesn't deserve this. They don't even know how happy they've got it. They don't understand. You get that anger. You get that content. You feel so frustrated by what you don't have. That's going to turn into something dangerous. That is going to turn into something that will change you and shape you so that when you are an adult and you are choosing a partner to spend your life with, or you are choosing a job to take, or you are choosing to have kids or to adopt, or whatever it is about your family structure, if you are still deeply struggling with this jealousy and this comparison and this envy, you're going to ruin what you already have in front of you. And believe it or not, this is one of the most foundational things to our faith. This actually comes from one of the most popular things that literally everyone has heard about in our faith. The 10 Commandments. Does anyone have like a grandparent who has like kind of the cheesy 10 Commandments like framed sign in their home? It's really sweet how they have those. And in the 10 Commandments, we're just going to look at this one today. It's in Exodus chapter 20 and verse 17. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his male servant or his female servant or his ox or his donkey or anything that is your neighbor's. Now, how many of you have had to annotate something for English summer reading? Y'all really love doing that, right? Terrible. I know it's terrible. And you kind of just make it up so your teacher will give you the grade. You just highlight random spots. Maybe you draw a few stars. And then your teacher tells you, like, because they wrote the curtains were blue, the author's depressed. You're like, I don't know that much. I don't know if that's right. In the Bible, how things are written, in the style they are written, all matters. The Bible is the holy, living word of God. Stay with me. We're going to nerd out for a second here, okay? And the structure that these Jewish writers would write things in mattered. There are poems where it's not, you don't just read it in order. You're actually supposed to read it like first paragraph, third paragraph, then second paragraph. You get the idea, okay? In the 10 Commandments, scholars don't actually think the order is what matters. This one's the 10th one, okay? It's not about the order. They're all important. But what is interesting is how they are grouped together. Let me show you the 10 Commandments. Maybe you're familiar with some of them. I have this image. Sean made fun of me because it's like the British version, I guess because of how something is spelled. I don't know, it's Google Images. Okay. So you have our first 10. Let's look at the first 3. So these are commands that God has given us about our relationship with God. Okay, what are we going to do? We're not going to have gods before God. We're not going to have idols. That means something you worship instead of God. We see that a lot. People worship money. People worship relationships. People worship sex. People worship drinking. You've seen this, right? You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. This is when people use the name of God to cause evil or harm in the world. This is when you see kind of the crazy people on the news who God told me to kill all these people, okay? That's using the Lord's name in vain. Someone who's being awful and mean to you and said, well, God told me you just needed to hear this, that you're a horrible human being, using the Lord's name in vain. Nod along if you're following. Lila, are you following? My girl. Okay. Then we have the second section here. These are commands to keep. Remember the Sabbath? We are called to have a day of rest and honor your father and mother. You probably thought I was talking about that tonight, but I'm not, okay? And then the next ones, then these are what not to do. You shall not murder. I really don't expect this from any of you, like fingers crossed. Jesus, fun fact, elevated these. See, Jesus said, hey, it's not that you shouldn't just not murder, but you also shouldn't hate, because then you're murdering in your heart. This is important. You shall not commit adultery. You shouldn't cheat on someone. Cheating is sin. Jesus elevated, said, hey, you shouldn't just not cheat on someone. You should not be lusting after people who are not your partner. Continues, you shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. This means, hey, don't lie. Lying is bad. None of us like being lied to. And then we get to our number 10. Do not covet. We are looking at don't allow your mind to do this. Don't allow your mind to do this. You're probably hearing those and you're like, okay, so I'm jealous sometimes that other families have more money than my family. But I'm not killing anyone. You might think, okay, so I'm jealous that they're close with all their siblings and like they don't even deserve that. They don't value it. But at least I'm not committing adultery. We think it's a scale, but how crazy is it that of the 10 things, this is the foundation of the society Jesus and the Lord is wanting us to build. This is one of the first things the Israelites are told. Who went to camp and heard, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go? Give me the huh. Huh, yeah, thank you. When the Israelites are freed from captivity, they're ready to start their own society. This is the first thing they receive. These are their instructions. And notice, it's not about exactly how to worship. It's not about exactly how to do all these different things. No, one of the foundational pieces Jesus wants the people to know before you even start society, before you start living, as you grow into adults, is do not covet. See, to covet, in case you missed it earlier, let's put that up there. To excessively desire what belongs to another. All of your families, again, I know are not safe. Some of you have parents who you no longer talk to. Okay, some of you are struggling with this jealousy and this greed because maybe it's like, well, Chelsea, my home isn't safe. My parents are abusive. Some of you have households where you have felt abandoned. Some of you have households with mental health conditions. Some of you are grievers and walking through that. I want you to know tonight, that's not what I'm talking about, that your pain is real and it is heavy, and I know God says something about it, and I promise you that is what we are going to dig into, the itty-bitty details in all of your lives, next week. Okay, so please don't think I'm skipping that. This week, I just want to talk about you and how you view your family and how you view other families. Because longing for something more, saying like, oh, I hope my marriage is like theirs, that is not wrong. But being angry at someone else's blessing is dangerous. They don't deserve it. My parents are so terrible. Why can't they be like them? Why can't they be understanding? Why can't they be less strict like them? That's coveting when it gets to this excessive desire. And coveting is a sin, and sin corrupts. Look, you put that 10 commandments up there. This is why I think it is number 10. Follow me here. Follow me here. If you look at something as simple as, you shall not murder, right? Jesus says, hey, you shouldn't even hate. Do you know what starts hate? Coveting, jealousy. They got away with something that I didn't get away with. They have something that I don't have. They have the friend group. They have the boyfriend or the girlfriend. You start to hate people so often because you are coveting that they got away with something or they have something you don't. Coveting is a sin that leads to some of the darkest sins. You look at the one about adultery. None of you are going to grow up and right now believe, you know what, one day I want to cheat on my spouse. I want to have an affair. I want to ruin their trust and I want to ruin their life None of you have grown up doing that. But what started as insecurity or greed and coveting of I want that person in a lustful sense, or I want that person because my person isn't acting how I want them, it's coveting. It's this greed. It's this excessive desire of I want to claim that for me because I deserve it. And then it turns to adultery. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why do people lie? It says don't lie up there. Because we're jealous. Because if everyone likes this one person because they did something or they have something or people know them, then I'm going to start lying and acting like I have that too because I'm jealous and I'm coveting of their life. This is a sin that seems small. This is a sin that we ignore. And then this is a sin that so quickly destroys our families. It destroys how we look at our siblings. Some of you might despise one of your siblings because you are so angry and you are so jealous that they seem like the favorite all the time. Some of you are so angry and you have so much jealousy in your heart because you see your friend and their parents are happily married and they don't even seem to get it. They don't even understand how lucky they are. But you know that pain. And just because you know that pain, that doesn't mean that they don't deserve that blessing. And there is a place for your pain, and Jesus holds your pain. But y'all, we have to be so careful because wishing your family looked like someone else's can easily lead you to hurt the people that you love the most because you gain nothing in comparison. Nothing. You gain nothing. And looking at someone's marriage and saying, they don't deserve that, I deserve that. You gain nothing in looking at someone's relationship with your siblings and now being mad that your siblings are terrible. You gain nothing at looking at your sibling and thinking like they have such a good relationship with mom or with dad and I'm so frustrated and I can't stand them now because I don't have that. You gain nothing. And yet we seem to think it's okay to be jealous and angry all the time. And you are at this table right now, and the decisions and the habits that you form in your life now aren't just going to go away when you're over here. It's not just going to disappear, and it's not just going to change. The day you move tables and you get to make these decisions for your life, if anything, I would say the temptation to compare will grow when it becomes, oh, I have to buy my first apartment. I have to decorate my first apartment. My home and my family's home doesn't look like everyone else's. It'll become my job and my network doesn't look like my friends and on and on. It will get worse if you don't develop this skill now to see what you have in your life and see the blessings and still being able to be okay saying this is enough and this is good and thank God that I have something. Families are messy, I know. None of your families are perfect, and it's easy to look at everyone else's family and think it's perfect and they have it all together and they don't even realize it, and I'm mad. And there is a place for your anger. And you can be angry at your parents' relationship. You can be angry over your grief. You can be angry over decisions that were made in your home that you didn't get to have a say in. You can be angry at that. God has room for your anger. But do not covet what is happening in other people's lives because it will destroy you. It will lead you to make decisions that are not what God wants for you. And it's not what we want for you. And you can talk to any of your leaders, and I promise, in some way, shape, or form, they have been there wishing that your family looked like someone else's. But there is nothing to gain in that comparison. And so tonight, I ask that you focus on you. Who are you comparing your family to? Who do you wish yours looked like? Who maybe do you think might be comparing their family to yours? Maybe someone's coveting your family. You don't even realize it because they don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. Tonight, focus on you. And next week, I promise, we will get into really looking at maybe some of those family members who are really tough for you to love. I wanted to kind of wrap up with this. I call it Chelsea's version of the Bible. That's illegal. Don't tell the bishop that. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's partner or their siblings or their job or their pets or their family name or anything that is your neighbor's. We do not have to excessively desire what belongs to someone else. As we go into life group, we can talk more about what does it look like to have a healthy understanding maybe of what you want and what you're going after, instead of the sinful understanding of coveting, jealousy, and envy. Y'all pray with me. Lord, we just thank you.